Alright, we are up and running. Shout out to iHas Arts and Crew. What's up, buddy? We were hosting and we took over. It's our time. What's up, man? Alright, let me finish getting stuff set up here real quick. Z-NATO, what's up, buddy? Getting stuff set up here real quick. Ricky. Alright, how do I get over to that? How do I do it? Okay, there's Facebook. What's up, everybody? What's up? What's up? What's up? Hold tight with me just for a second while I finish getting my setups. Oh, hello. Okay, that's good. Things good. Jarl, what's up, buddy? Limba, how you doing? Thanks, man. To be fair, I did some work off stream. You did? What? How dare you? Why would you do such a thing? Why? I'll tell you, I'll just show you what I did. How about that? We'll go from there. So, put a little bit of work into his thigh straps here. Just blocked out some of the things that, some of the shapes that I was kind of going for. Still got a lot to go. Fahim, what's up? Christelle, how you doing? Joe, sit. Ali, how you doing, man? So started blocking in some of those shapes. Started playing around with the belt and how I go about doing the loops. I can actually show you guys today. Made the belt buckle, threw that in. Started blocking out some of these pieces in the same vein. And the other thing that I did is I did a little bit of adjustment to his hand. Last time we were actually, how about I just show you what I did? That's where we were last time. So the overall feeling for the hand was things are just kind of too parallel, and it felt very purposefully placed and not very natural. So I decided to kind of spread things out a little bit. I still not 100% on that, but I also, I think I twisted the hand down a little bit to kind of get a little bit more of this action and not necessarily this action. So that's what I did. Christelle asks, is it better to do a live video or an offline video? For me, one of the main reasons why I started streaming in the first place, years and years ago now, is that, you know, there's a lot of tutorials out there, there's a lot of, like, videos and stuff, which are amazing, and I've learned a ton from, but what you don't get is, like, the real-time interaction, the real-time decision-making, and a sense of how long a project actually takes. So I figured, you know what, maybe I'll do that. So I actually like the live version better because it gives you a chance to see the real-time decision making, the real-time work that actually goes into it. you know, all the mistakes are live, all of that stuff. So, you know, figuring things out, why something doesn't look good, why it does, why it works, why it doesn't work, those types of things. And then you guys get to ask questions, which is awesome, right? Oh, the other thing that I did was I decided to play around with some rocks that he's stepping on instead of stepping on the actual deer. Because if I'm going to print this thing out, this base is going to be expensive. There's a lot of like wasted space in here for the moment. So I'm thinking about trying to trim down what the base actually is. So I was thinking of putting him closer to underneath him, and then just having him step on some rocks. Can't be a statue without him stepping on something, you know? That's like one of the main prerequisites of creating a statue. It's gotta be stepping on something, man. All right, let's get to work. So, do you guys want to see how I did the belt loops? Maybe I'll just show that real quick. So, what I did? There's some reference that I'm using from the God of War. But for the pose and stuff, and for the anatomy, it's all from practice. All right, I'll show you just real quick how I did the belt loops here. All the way down. Is that the one? That's a later stage. Zufu says, do you think drawing anatomy and sculpting it are two different things? Yes and no. Anatomy is still anatomy. So I always try to tell people that if you can't sculpt it, draw it. At least you're learning. It's really more about so in 2D, it's more about the graphic design of what your shapes are, whereas 3D is still the graphic design of how your shapes look, but in all directions. So it's kind of the same thing. Alright, so let's grab, I think it's this one. This one. This one. This one. So basically what I did is I took this very simple belt that I used curve strap snap. So I just use curve strap snap brush. And then wrap that around the dude. So what I want to do is I want to use frame mesh to be able to create a insert mesh brush, and then just use that curve of this geo on the top and the bottom to be able to place these loops. So basically what I did is I took this guy, we did group by normals. So I just want to isolate this front face. Right, you do that, and then you delete hidden. Actually, you know what, let's do this first. Let's dupe. So we do that, then we just have this front face, delete hidden. Alright, so now I have the actual placement of how I want this top curve and the bottom curve to be. And then what I would do is I would go through and make this curve brush. So the interesting and more complicated thing is, what orientation do I need to have this single piece in order to get that angle correctly on there. So what I did was I just grabbed, let's just append in, actually, you know what, let's create a cylinder real quick. Did I do that? No, I didn't. I just did. Nope, not that one. Wrong project, Brendon. So I just appended in a cylinder. Grab this. Turned it in 90 degrees. Grab my whatever brush this is, ZBrush brush. Deleted these dudes. I turned on my Z symmetry because I'm going to create some edge loops on this side, and I wanted to create some edge loops on the other side in the exact same fashion. So what I did was I did activate symmetry in the Z, and now whatever I do on this side, it does on the other side. So basically I just grabbed that as my thickness, and then I grabbed QMesh poly loop, and then took that all the way through like that, and then whoop. So there was that piece. Let's delete that guy. So I had that piece. So the question was, how do I get this to the correct orientation to be able to put onto this one? So what I'm doing is I'm going to go in here and I always forget where it is. I think it's in stroke. Stroke modifiers. Curve functions, frame mesh, there we go. So that's what I want to do. So basically what frame mesh does is it takes the edges and puts down a curve. So then if I have, let's just actually do it. Let's just do it real time. So this is the guy, right? So I'm like, well, what orientation does this guy need to be at in order to get that? I don't know, man. So what I do is I'll just do create insert mesh, and we'll just do new for the first one, right? So this one has this rotation, and then I'm like, well, maybe is it this way? So I'll create an orientation there. Do create insert mesh and append. Yep, got it. Right, so now I have all these different orientations, right? Maybe it's like this. Create append. This is just trial and error, right? Maybe it's this way. Insert mesh append. Maybe it's this way. Insert mesh append. So then what I would do is let's go back to this guy. Right, so that curve is on there, and now that I have an insert mesh brush, all I have to do is tap. Let's just frame the mesh again real quick. Frame. Why are you not doing it? Of course now it's not doing it. Oh, look. Let's do this. Let's try frame mesh one more time. Why are you not working now? Is it insert? It's an insert mesh brush. Why are you not working? Anyways, that worked last time. You guys probably will call me out on that later. That's fine. Anyways, so then I would just create the one that yo, Polygon, what's up, buddy? How you doing, man? So that's how I got those placed in there. And then I just dynameshed this piece and started sculpting on it, moving it into the right positions. So that's how I did that. Ah, that's how you did that. Guys, if you don't know the Mr. the Man Polygon, give that guy a follow. He does some really awesome stylized work. And he also is one of our amazing ZBrush streamers. The man, the myth, the legend, Polygon. How you doing, buddy? Alright. You like how I skipped over all that stuff? Well, it's not working. Well, this is how I did it. Alright. So I think today we're going to work on the hand a little bit. This hand. Yes. So then it basically, by using frame mesh and that insert mesh brush, it just automatically plops all those in there. And then you can, you know, after it... yeah, I skipped it. But then you have these dudes, right? Let's do group visible. And then you get, like, you know, afterwards you can just come in and adjust these just a little bit, just to get some of that little bit more natural feel. And it's not so manufactured. Holy cow. Where are you at, Polygon? Where you at, homie? Oh, you know what I was gonna do today? This one's gonna be fun. I don't have my preference up. Doodah. Let me do this real quick. I use Quadro quite a lot. Love me some Quadro. Let's go recent God of War troll ref. There we go. So I'm gonna do some of these accoutrements, but today I want to do this guy. Yes. No, not Quadro RTX. Quadro, the reference image program thing. That's amazing. So I'm gonna make these little head dude today. That's what we want to do. Head guy. Alright, how are we gonna do that? We're just going to do it quick and dirty and easy. We're just going to append in a sphere. Grab this dude. And then we're just going to go to town. Let's do Dynamesh. We'll do, say, maybe 56. That's good enough. This is not my 2D concept. So just for sanity's sake, what we'll do is we'll take a look at... so this is the God of War troll from the beginning of the game. Fan art that I'm doing as a personal project for collectible and statue work pipeline. Hannibal, what's up, buddy? So that's this dude. This guy. Yes. It also is right down the bottom of the screen, right there. Which I think you can see. Ollie says, like this model for game industry, how much time will it take to send it to animation department? Well, considering this guy is not set up production-wise to do that, you would have to unpose them and then get all your UVs set up and all that shenanigans. I'm not doing that with this particular project, so it would probably take a while since he's being sculpted out of symmetry. You'd have to spend probably quite a good amount of time getting him to where you would want to be for game pipeline. Okay. Yes, God of War. Alright, so let's grab this dude. We're just going to bring him out here so he's a little bit... Okay, let's turn on some symmetry. Let's do local symmetry though. Alright, let's do a head. A head. A head. Just something quick. Done. Okay, let's just get in some shapes here. Super gross. Okay, we got jaw that comes down here like so. Of course, we gotta save it. Can I ask if I may, what is the best salary if you're working on film merchandise making? I know you might not answer that, but I'm asking because I'm lying with making NDA projects for companies. Christelle, when it comes down to what to charge and like how much it should be, so on and so forth. It's always tough. It's always a tough question. But what I try to do in my own for my own sanity is just keep an overall figure for yourself on what your hourly rate is. You know, figure out what how much money that you need to sustain yourself, and then use that to figure out what your hourly rate is and what it should be, and then go from there. If your hourly rate is I need to make $50 an hour, then that's what you need to make. You know what I mean? Get a little bit of neck in here. That's typically how I do it. Man, it is hot in this room. Good Lord. I probably will end up getting rid of the neck area back here, but it just helps me get some of the shapes a little bit better when I have some of the other pieces in. So you could go and do this on your own here and spend the time to do it. Or you can just grab a pre-existing head and just use that. But for the sake of having fun today and actually doing some stuff, we'll try to do this in real time here. Jaws are too low. Let's bring the jaw up a little bit. So we're thinking about the jaw articulating down. And remember the character dev pipeline for ZBrush. I do remember the character dev pipeline prior to ZBrush. It sucked. It sucked a lot, man. Alright, so we've got Zygomatic in here. We're going to have him really gaunt. So we're going to have a little bit of shapes coming in through there. We got nose. Currently, college student would like to ask about if getting a degree in animation design is worth it, or should I just focus on getting experience? It's a little bit tricky. Hold on a sec, guys. I'm going to open up my window because it is dying in here. Alright. It's a little bit tricky when it comes down to education these days. What I always tell people is education is good to have, but mostly for art, it's not required. So for the most part, if you're not traveling abroad, if you're not trying to get work abroad, it's fairly irrelevant in that companies aren't asking you if you have a degree. They're really just curious on if you have work. That's amazing. And is it the right work for them, for their project? There's no real prerequisite for having a degree. It's 99.99% portfolio. So if you have a dope portfolio, that's really what's going to land you the gig mostly. That said, in order to make amazing art, you have to be practiced and you have to be educated. So whether you are a go-getter and you're able to educate yourself, that's a possibility, or whether you're somebody who wants and or needs a more structured environment to make those studies happen, then that's what you should do. You know what I mean? So this is all just local. If you're you're trying to get work in the country that you're already in. As for if you're going abroad, what's up, Corgazer? If you're going abroad, then most of the time the government wants you to have a degree, so it's much easier visa-wise to get the visa if you have a degree of some kind, right? Mostly in the field that you work in. So it's helpful in that regard. For the most part, though, companies just want you to have awesome art. That's really. Let's see how this guy's even looking. Yes, you definitely use a tablet for all of this. Alright, let's do 128. I'm just going to dupe that. No, not that. There you go. We'll do geo. We'll do just a quick clay polish. Clean up some of those edges. Nice hat. Yeah. Yeah, you can get this. Just go to the ZBrush Summit. It's easy. Let's clear the mask. Whenever you do a clay polish, it adds a little mask to it. So you'll see between that and that. So if you start moving stuff around after clay polish, it starts doing some weird stuff like this. That's because there's a small mask that gets put on it. So just make sure you clear your mask after you do a clay polish. Alright, let's just add. I don't want to spend too much time on this dude. So we're just gonna get in here and add a couple more layers of shapes. Did that answer that question for you okay? Understandable, thank you for the answer. Oh, okay, cool. So the graphics tablet that I use a Intuos 5 is what I use. Let's just get some of these shapes going. Right now I'm just working off just kind of base anatomy knowledge. What does the nose do? What does the bridge of the nose look like? What does the zygomatic area feel like? You know, nasolabial fold comes in through here. What does the orbit feel like? There's the orbit. I'll put in some eyeballs on this guy too. Have any tips for practicing faces? I feel like I have a lot of the same mistakes and I don't want to reinforce them. Faces are all about subtlety. And I think that you don't really get that subtlety and what that actually means without practice and repetition. So I think probably the best advice I can give for faces is reference like a mofo and repetition, and then just watch how other people do it. You know, go on Gumroad and get Frank Zhang's sculpting faces, or watch Chris Costa. You know, see how the people are actually doing it and watch them make decisions in real time, and see the things that are important and how they go about doing those things, right? So probably the other biggest thing is always be checking your silhouette on every single turn. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing on this guy. I'm just kind of winging it. Live. Winging it live. So for somebody who's just starting in this, you may want to look into ZBrush Core. It's actually a really good way to get in for relatively cheap. When I got back into the gaming industry, I actually worked in the medical and dental industry for quite a while, doing medical modeling and that kind of stuff. Maybe this guy would be like an elf or something. That's kind of cool. ZBrush was one of the first softwares I bought, and it's been worth every single cent every single year. Yeah, faces are all about nuances, you know, like, and nuances and what's the other thing? Subtlety. Nuances and subtlety. Like this. This doesn't really make sense in here. So like, when you open your jaw, the hinge of your, or the bottom corner of your jaw down here doesn't really move a whole lot, right? So like the condyle, which is right here, the top of your jaw, that stays about the same place. It moves forward to here once you kind of unlock your jaw, but for the most part, this piece here stays about the same spot. So what I'm seeing on this guy right now is that the distance from the condyle to the corner of the jaw is pretty long. So what I may want to do is actually bring this up more. And sometimes like you just map things out, you know? You're like, okay, here's where the ear meets, or the zygomatic bone meets the ear. Right? So zygomatic comes through like this. Here's the orbital. Condyle's here, comes like this, here's the corner, and that moves down like this. Sometimes I just map things out really quickly. You can first watch Chris Costa's ZBrush Summit stuff. Alright, so when you open like this and when you're really gaunt, you really start to see the zygomatic bone in here. Alright, so the zygomatic bone comes here like such and rolls back this way. Alright, so that's the zygomatic bone. So this probably can come up even further, something like this. Alright, okay, and then you start thinking about the muscles on top of it. So this is all stuff that through repetition, because I've done enough faces to know all of this stuff, these are the things that I'm thinking about when I'm sculpting the shapes and the overall feeling of this dude. Right, so I'm thinking about, okay, well, where does the zygomatic come in? Okay, cool. And then where does you know, so you move one step up from that. Where does the muscles, the major muscles, form-defining muscles of the face go in? Well, you got the masseter here, which goes like this, right? So that usually creates and holds the silhouette here. And then you've got your facial muscles in here, right? So let's just dig this out real quick. and we'll get more to the skeletal part of it, and then we'll build up the muscle on there, just to show you guys kind of how I think about and put these shapes together. So the skeletal portion is kind of like this, right? And you get the zygomatic that comes back up through here, and then you've got the bridge of the nose that comes in through here like this, right? So what happens in between the zygomatic and the orbicularis oris, which is the circular sphincter style muscle that goes around the mouth. Right, so you've got a couple of thin muscles that go from the zygomatic down to here. Right, you got one that super thin one that comes down here like this. Right, so what that does is it creates some of these, like, if you're really gaunt, it creates some of these shapes of pole down through here like this. So it connects like that, right? And then you got some other small ones down here that aren't form defining enough to really point out at this moment. I would say it just realistic portrait with Chris Costa. Yes. Yes, I said sphincter. It is a type of muscle. It's actually around your eyeball. It's the orbicularis oculi and the orbicularis oris that actually comes around the mouth. So this, if you guys had just tuned in, this is one of the sunken heads that is going to be on his belt. God of War Troll fan art for collectible. Pipeline. Alright, so then we start pulling some of these. So now that I'm thinking about that, right? So like maybe we got this piece that comes out like that, you know. So I'm thinking about just the overall shape, and I'm always looking at the silhouette. Yes, head belt. That's exactly what this one is. Then what we'll do is we're just going to pull in some teeth real quick. Maybe for a witch hunter did ages back. Instantly made the sculpt 10 times better. It's all about the little details, man. When you start getting into it, it's all about the little details. We'll do that. So I think I'm gonna actually go back up just a little bit. So let's go 256. Kind of like where some of the shapes are going right now. So we'll go 256. We'll go one level up, and now we can really start kind of cranking on this. So let's put in a little bit of lip. Like at these. We'll get a tongue in there, or at least just a shape. Now it's important not to go too crazy, and it's always really important to make sure that you've got the overall project in mind, right? This is going to be a print. So I don't want to go too crazy and do all kinds of like stuff inside his mouth and create problems for the print later. So I'm going to pull back just a little bit. Book recommendations for learning anatomy. Yeah. Get this one. This one's really good. Besides the traditional ones like Bridgman and stuff, Anatomy for 3D Artists is really good. This one just missed nice. I like. And then really just practice. Practice, practice, practice. So anyways, what I need to do is keep in mind this dude's gonna be really small, probably down here. So I don't want to go too crazy and sculpt a bunch of details in his in the mouth. Trying to mask out the hair on the face. Am I going to be the one who's going to do the 3D print? No, I don't have a printer, so I probably just I'm thinking about just sending it to Shapeways, just to see if they can do something. Okay, we get a little bit shape down here. Alright, so let's throw some eyeballs in here. So let's append. Let's just grab another sphere. Doing eyes, throwing the eyes into head sculpts is probably one of my favorite parts. So let's do mirror and weld, which is going to put him mirror and weld. No, you don't want to, huh? Why would you? That's fine. We don't need to do that. We'll do it on our own. We're gonna do it real time. Real time. So let's say eyeballs about like that. Probably about like that. Yeah, Sculptress is also from Pixelogic. It's quite an old software though, so they actually have now put it into ZBrush with Sculptress mode. Tilly, come on, in. Go on, in. Alright. So gonna turn on ghosting here so I can sculpt behind this. So I'm just gonna pull this out. Boom! Eyeballs. Easy peasy. We'll just create an eyelid here real quick. Eyelid, eyelid, and then work on what the opening of that eyelid is going to look like. And maybe what we'll do is go back to these guys. Let's clear the mask. And let's move both of them maybe up and out just a little bit. Okay, we'll pull this in. Usually for the upper eyelid, it is concave on the inside here, and then transition to be convex out here. Like that. Isn't that crazy? That's insane! Then you've got eyelid. Comes in through here. Usually is over on the top and under on the bottom there. So then let's... Ooh, that looks gross in there. What kind of pad are you using for the sculpt? Oh, sorry. I use Intuos 5. Intuos is... I feel Wacom Intuos. Probably one of the most the most important instrument of my artistic life is having a good tablet. Again, I want to make sure that I'm not going super crazy on this, which I tend to do very quickly. Just gonna get a little bit of inwards. Let's see how that's looking. Getting there. My current active brush is up here on the left-hand side. And yes, my UI is very, very cluttered. I'm a cluttery kind of guy. Basically what I do is I grab everything that I need to see on this side, and then all the things that I use all the time from the tool brush, from the tool menu, and bring it out here. Just makes things super easy for me. Okay, so let's go into some of the more subtle fat forms on the face, which is usually you have this nice nasolabial fold that comes in through here. Alright, let's work on the nostril just a little bit. Yeah, you guys can actually grab my my UI if you're interested in working in the cluttered life as I do. You can just go to my website, which is Bengtson Designs. It's actually, I think, right there, bengtsondesigns.com, and you can grab it if you want. It's free. All right, so we have the philtrum that comes in here. So I'm going to add a little bit of bulk here. Okay. I get carried away with faces quite a bit. Should probably stop on this guy soon, because he's not really going to be a large part of this sculpt. Do you teach courses at Gnomon? I do not at this point. However, I have been approached to do some DVD courses. Thinking about it. We'll see. It takes a lot of time to put that shit together, man. Time I don't have at the moment. Alright, let's see how we're doing here. Alright, I think we need a rope to put in. Feels like this length is too much. Like the back of his head is huge. So I'm going to do some fairly large edits. Maybe we can kind of bring that back. That feels a little better. Okay. So let's just let's make this look a little bit more of an actual ear. So we've got the inner ear that goes all the way in like that. Right? This piece connects down to the skin, comes down here, connects your earlobe. This goes in. We've got this little guy that comes in here like this. We'll push this back down in here. Alright, and then we've got the shape that comes off of here and does this little bit. This little pocket there. Something closer to that. Yes, it is. The last name's a little bit weird. It's a Scandinavian thing, so it's the son of Bengt. If you so it's Bengtson. Easy peasy when you look at it that way. All right, let's get our rope in here. So I'll use the same brush I used for these ropes. I actually just grabbed something from Bad King. So I'm going to use that same one. So I'm going to go to brush. Let's go to my custom brushes. Let's go to, I think it's in hard surface. Yeah, this one right here. Rope brush. Awesome. I do not know Swedish, but I do eat Swedish pancakes. Saving project file. Yes. I did not save any of that. Awesome. Well, that was fun. We'll log that as practice. Oh, Swedish pancakes are amazing. Amazeballs. I'll use this to catch up on some of the stuff that I missed. What's up, Nuno? How you doing, man? Itali? How are you? How are you? Do you know Bengtson is a leatherworking guy? Did you know that Bengtson Designs is a leatherworker guy who sells wallets and belts? That's Bengtson. Oh, that's what you were talking about. I got it. Got it. Bengtson. Alright. Looks like most of our progress is saved. Most of it. Okay, let's save. Save it! Alright, we are halfway through. Alright, so now what I want to do, let's try that again. ZBrush. There we go. So now what I'm going to do is I want to do the same process that I used to create these pieces, just all the way around. But I don't really have something that is exactly around this piece. Maybe what I'll do is I'll try to put it... Let's turn off symmetry. Maybe we'll try to put it around his face this way. Holy schmolies. Let's make that a little bit smaller. I think what I should do before I do this, though, let's do group visible, grab this guy. I think I may just guesstimate how big these ropes are going to be when I size him down. Actually, maybe what I'll do is I'll just dupe this guy. I'll try to put him in... probably smaller. Somewhere around that size. I love creating these specific pieces that give scale reference. Right? So you look at something and you're like, oh, that guy's instantly huge, right? You got like the deer down here, and pretty much the head. Those two things are kind of the big scale pieces at the moment, to give him the overall feeling of, holy crap, this dude's huge. Good God, man. And maybe what I'll do is, we'll just do another one over here. That looks pretty cool. Details. Add levels of detail. Alright, so I want that rope to be fairly big. I'm at least somewhat consistent with this one. So then what I'll do is we'll go over the full process of 3D printing. No. This is early on in my 3D printing knowledge. I would look at Amon, who's also a streamer on ZBrush. He does specifically stuff for 3D printing, so definitely check out Amon. You go to ZBrushLIVE.com and find his page on there, and you can actually see all of his past broadcasts. Okay, so let's do rope brush again. So how do I get around? Because basically what I want to do is I want to just have something like this. Actually, that actually may work. Let's move this around to the back. That actually may work. Let's see if I can get this into place now. Hey, look at that. This may actually work. Yeah. So it's those scale references that that really give him the size, you know. So this may work here. So this will be coming in here like this. This is pulling against there. This is going to be under the ear. Pulling against there. And I actually want this to intersect because when it prints, I don't want there to be any weird gaps. So I really want all this stuff to intersect. So I'm trying to not have issues later. So I'm just going to kind of keep that intersected so that later on down the road. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so now let's switch the mask. Let's turn local symmetry back on. Why are you not local symmetrying? Just trying to pick those guys up, that's why. That's fine, whatever. I think I'm past local symmetry at this point now. Let's bring this back out a little bit here. So I really want this to feel stretched back here. Like it's really pulling against the skin. So I'm going to pull this all the way back in. And then I'm going to sculpt this to match. So I'm going to have kind of this feeling of being pulled. Right, which is going to pull the lips really tight up against the teeth. So we'll do the teeth in here. Get just a little bit of separation. So I want that to feel really, really flat. Maybe I'll just do a little bit of H polish in here. Try to get this lip really flat against those teeth. I think maybe what I'll do then as well. Hey, come on, local symmetry. Okay, you're not gonna work. So I'll try to pull his jaw back up a little bit. Yeah, the sculpt definitely took a turn. This is what it was intended though. From the get-go. Excuse me. Let's bring that lip back in a little bit. Yes, marble stuff is still going awesome, Jose. Absolutely. There we go. Whatever floats your boat, man. I ain't judging you. Alright, let's get this a little bit more gaunt in here. A little bit more eye bag. And now we can start doing a little bit of asymmetry. I don't mind doing... A lot of people are like, you're sculpting out of symmetry. Oh, you're taking forever. I actually embrace asymmetrical sculpting. Because you get to do twice the practice. Which is awesome. So yeah, I don't mind doing it twice. It's good practice. Alright, we got the crunkle in here. We'll just get a little shape that comes in there. Again, we don't have too much geo in here, so I'm not too worried about getting all kinds of crazy detail like I would normally do. But at least we can get some hints of those shapes in here. This would go in a lot more. This. Yeah, I played the new Spider-Man game. It's an awesome game. Ugh, he still needs a lot of work. A lot of work. I think maybe what we can do is give him a little bit more forehead. I think his eyes may actually be too big still. Like his actual eyeballs may be too big. I think that's good enough for now. We may go in and do a little bit more later, but then maybe what we'll do is maybe what we'll do is create a couple variants of this dude. Before we Dynamesh. Yeah, his eyes are still bugging me. Push that in a little bit. Oh, I know what it is. He doesn't have any separation for his lower eyelid. Duh. So we gotta get some eyelid in there. Ooh, that is not. Yeah. Yep. Yes, it is. You are correct. Eyes are a little far back. Hey, look, now he's got a lower eyelid. Yeah, look at that from the top. Yeah, this is all got to come out more. about looking at it from different angles, right? I think his eyeballs are actually too big. Let's do this. Maybe not that big. We could do somewhere like that. Alright, then let's go, let's do auto groups. Then we'll shift click that guy. Then move this guy back over. No, I think I may be past symmetry at this point, which is fine. Let's get some more eye bag under here. We need more cowbell. Eye bag. We need more eye bag. See, the nice thing is that once you start out of asymmetry, you got the majority of the structures already in. You start getting some of these nice asymmetrical variations that are really tough to get once you have a lot of work done to it. You know, a lot of times the actual eye is offset, so you start getting I don't use Spotlight too much. It's I never really got into it, and then every time I try to do it, like it just, ooh, look at those zygomatic, ooh, ooh. Sometimes you don't know what's wrong with your model until you look at it from a really weird angle, like this. Those zygomatics are not. That's a little bit better. I can pull these guys out a little bit. See how the forehead goes back in a V? Pull that forward a little bit more. It's possible to try to make an animation for the character by other animation software. For this guy, not really, because you'd have to rig him and kind of get that whole system set up. And right now, he's not really. He's asymmetrical, so it's tough to. It's tough to do that. I think what's happening is that his ears are too far back. Alright, I think that's probably enough on this dude. He's going to be a small piece. Ooh, man, that forehead, though. Maybe we'll just try to get a little bit more shape in here. No, I don't really do stylized stuff very much. Like, at all. Unless you call this stylized. which it technically is, you know. Alright, maybe what we'll do is we'll grab this dude. Maybe we'll double him up. Maybe he's got... Maybe he's got one that comes up here like this. I really want to make sure that these are intersecting because I don't want any weird geo happening on the inside there. Alright, we got some nice asymmetry there. That's good. And then maybe what we'll do is we'll... try to get some of the flesh reacting to it as it pulls back here. Yeah. There we go. Try to pull the lip up a little bit. We get a little bit of extra pull through here. There we go. We got a head. Let's resolve. I don't want to make things too crazy gory. So I think what I'll do... Yeah, this feels pretty cool. I think maybe what I'll do is add just a touch actually back here. You know, a little bit of that extra integration. Just something super subtle. Super subtle. There we go. We got a head. Later was gentlemen, do you sell creature or troll mesh bases? No, I can't do any kind of commercial selling of this because I don't own the IP. This is all just personal practice and fun. So if you want to make it look horrid and evil, make it look like Hillary Clinton. Funny. See what you did there. I probably want to sculpt this in real quick. So we'll probably see the back of his ears. So at least want to get the shapes in here relatively correct. So we got the outer part here. This goes in. This all goes in. This goes in more up top. And then you've got a little bit of this conical piece in here. And then this goes in. Yeah, I don't I mean we can do all kinds of crazy details on this guy. But ultimately he's just going to be a set piece down there. So I don't want to go too crazy on him because he's going to be relatively small in the actual piece. So I want him to be a nice addition to the piece, but not really take away from it. Do I always work at a reasonably high poly count? Usually I do. I'm kind of more of a let's just get in there and make some shapes kind of guy. Just get down to work kind of thing. So unless I'm doing some actual production, I usually will go pretty far with the poly count. I don't really care too much. The only time I really care is when I'm trying to establish shape language and stuff. I try not to add too many polys too early, but that's just forcing me to work on primary and secondary shape language before I get into details. But other than that, I'm usually a poly whore. Yeah, let's do the other one now. What? You didn't do it in symmetry? What the hell's wrong with you? Practice, man. Practice. So this goes in. Like so. In. This goes in more. Down here. We get this cone shape in the back, and that goes in like that. We get a little bit more roundness on the outside of the ear here. And you got your basic ear shape. Depending on what your lobe status is, whether you're connected or disconnected, this may look different. What's your lobe status, bro? There we go. Something simple. This ear is probably going to bug the crap out of me here. Let's just add a little bit more detail. Try to get some of these shapes a little less appalling. You got a lobey lobe? Two kinds of people in the world. Those who have lobes and those who do not. Okay, this goes in like so. This goes down. This connects. Thanks, KBP. KPB. That's the name. I'll just vary this up a little bit, maybe. This usually is more flat in here. So it's usually got like this secondary shape that comes on the inside here and then just kind of fades out as it gets into there. That's good enough. Okay, so now let's finish the neck. What's the neck gonna be? What are we gonna do with the neck? Quick question: new to this 3D modeling, for a slime effect, would you do Substance Painter? Yeah, I would. If I was gonna go if I was gonna actually texture it for game res, I would totally take it into Painter. But this guy's just going to be for print, so he would end up getting actually painted in physical form. So I'm not, at this point, I'm not really worried about the texture at all. Where these meet up, I kind of want to make sure that they're about the same shapes. I don't want one to seem like it's a thicker rope than the other one. So I'm just going to play with these shapes just a little bit. Okay, so it's time to figure out what the heck I'm going to do with the neck. All this for the amount of polys right now, it'll all get reduced later. Right now I'm still very much in the sculpting phase, so I'm getting all the shapes in and everything. Everything's separate right now. Like, we got overlapping stuff. Things aren't watertight. So right now I'm not worried about poly count at the moment. This is all got to come in. You got no neck. For dimensions, again, it's more about does the model anatomically feel correct. For the overall print size, it's kind of a global scale, anyways. And again, I'm not the printing expert, so right now I'm focusing on kind of the actual anatomy of the sculpt and the overall presentation of it. All that stuff will probably end up getting taken over by the actual, either the print shop or whoever would be processing it, if there is that type of person. For fun, I may do some poly paint on him for presentation purposes. That's probably as far as I'll get on him for oh, sorry. I'm reading all of my chat all together. So I have some questions coming in from YouTube and from Facebook. So if if I'm answering a question and it doesn't make sense, just feel free to just tap me on the shoulder and be like, "Wait, what?" And then I'll make sure I repeat the question. Sorry about that. Alright, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start just bringing all this stuff in. So I want the end of the neck to be kind of tattered. Before I do that, here's what I'm going to do. Let's get rid of these guys. Let's delete hidden. And I think what I'll be able to do is now go back to local symmetry. So local symmetry wasn't working because it had those other pieces down here, and I was trying to account for them. So now that I've gotten rid of those pieces, I can go back to local sim. So now that I've used those neck shapes to help inform the shape of the neck and the head, now I can sculpt these back and do what the neck is going to be like as it's cut off. We're not going to go too gory, we're not going to go too crazy. I do want to make it look like a cut neck, though. I think you're just going crazy. Alright, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back and grab the rope brush. And then we're going to turn off local symmetry, though. Let's make this a hell of a lot smaller. Not that small. Not that big. Something like that. That's fine. Actually, I want to move this. I want to move that seam to the back. So I'm just going to rotate this around a little bit here. Okay, there we go. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take this and move this down a little bit. Oh, you know, just what have I been up to? Just hanging out. Hey, Newt. Oh, it's Z silent. You're not even talking to me. What is your graphics card? And GPU. I think you can actually find that on the ZBrush. No, that's my own ones. I'm using. I have a fairly decent CPU because this is ZBrush is mostly CPU based, or it is CPU based. So I have a Intel i7-6700K. I'm using a GTX 1070 graphics card, but again, that's fairly irrelevant for this work. And then I think I'm only on 16 gigs of RAM. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring all of this in. Like at this. Here's what we're going to do. Whoop. Let me get some folding action happening in here. Some buckling. See if we can make this work. Yes, there's the test mate button. How many hours does that work have by now? I'm probably about 40 hours in. Yeah, about 40. It's just a sculpt, so it's there's not a whole lot of like production work that needs to go into it. So it's mostly just sculpt. So it doesn't take that long. Ooh, the sun's coming up. See that? Hello. See if we can get some of that skin buckle happening. It'd be kind of cool. Greetings from Mexico. What's up, man? I think I answered all the specs questions. Hopefully. So then maybe what we'll do is... I'm just a sucker for adding more details. Maybe what we'll do is we'll add another one. I'm actually early morning worker. I'm forced to be early morning worker for ZBrush. Because after I do this, usually on a weekday, I will go into the office for another 10 hours after I hang out with you guys for a couple hours. That's how I roll. That's how important you guys are to me. What? It is more quiet at night, but with kids, it's a little bit tough. For me, it's a little bit tough, just because those little punks wear you out. I find I have less energy at nighttime these days. How do you step forward if you step too far back with Control Z? Just Shift Control Z will step you back forward. What's up, Cool Beans from New York? How you doing, man? Also have a question. Would putting a piece like this in a demo reel be a bad idea where it's fan art? There's a couple of things with that statement. One is if you're a character artist, you probably don't need a demo reel. I don't know if you're just using that word as a word, or if you actually are putting together a demo reel. If you have work that is static work, I would say don't put it in a demo reel. Just have a portfolio where you can look at the pieces. I sound like Jordu. Oh no, I don't know if that's good or bad. Bless his heart. So fan art in a portfolio, I would totally be okay with, mostly because I have fan art in my portfolio. So one of the things, as a character production artist, you want to be able to show that you can take somebody else's concept and be able to bring it to life, right? So the amount of energy and skill it takes to be a great concept designer usually is a different set of skills and time than being a good production artist. You don't typically find those two in the same person these days. If you do, awesome. But at least in video game production, you don't find that you have a character artist that's a great concept artist. So in order to kind of get around that, just use somebody else's concept. You know, I mean, obviously, always ask and always credit, but it's important to be able to show that you can take a concept and actually bring it to fruition as a character. So personally, I have nothing against doing fan art in your portfolio. I think it's a good thing. I got it in my portfolio. It worked for me. I don't want to spend the extra time trying to come up with a really dope concept, because I'm not going to be doing that in my job. So why do I need to spend the time doing that when I'm trying to build a portfolio, right? Especially when I'm trying to show that I can take somebody else's concept and make it look super dope. Does that make sense? Yeah, at schools they usually will force you to do a demo reel. What I would challenge you is saying, why does it need to be a demo reel when it takes extra time to sit through the animation and the time it takes to create that demo reel. You know what I mean? Like if I'm looking at a portfolio and I have to spend 6 minutes going through a video where it just seriously takes about 60 seconds to be able to tell whether somebody's good enough or not. Now I got to spend that amount of time sifting through video. That already puts the person that you're trying to get a job from in an annoyed state. So what I would argue is hey, why don't we just make a really nice portfolio site? Or how do I find images that show the correct things that recruiters want to see? That's what I would challenge you to push back on. Is there a setting in ZBrush to make rope brush ends meet perfectly? It would I don't think it would be a setting. It would be how you set up your actual insert mesh brush. In this particular brush, it's like that. I don't really care. It's whatever. Okay. See how we're looking. I think maybe we can move this dude. Yeah, I mean, working from established concepts, that's cool. I mean, thing is, you can't sell it. You can't make money off it because you don't own the IP. If it's just for personal use, then fine, do it, man. All right, where are we at? Where are we at? Where are we at? You can get a little bit more integration here. Okay, that's fine. Just get some subtle forms in there. Yeah, I mean, I would always also suggest making sure that you credit the original artist. Always, 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 always. I usually over credit. And if it's like a personal artist, then you never know. It could create some cool friendships, um, some cool connections. Okay. It looks like my symmetry's getting a little shenanigans over here. Let's add a little bit in here. Alright, we'll push this stuff in here a little bit. don't want to create edges that are too thin out here, so I want to be careful. Hey yo, it's 8 o'clock. I mean, fan art is it's always a touchy subject. It always needs to be handled correctly. You know, and as a teacher or as an institute, they may have their own personal views or school views on whether you're doing whether you're able to do fan art or not for your portfolio or for your projects. You know, they may say no, you can't, just for legal reasons. So it's always good to know kind of what they think and adhere to the rules established. I'm gonna get a little bit of choppy breakup in this area here. Maybe we'll just use some alphas here. See if we can find just a quick alpha to give us a little more just some happy shapes in here. Happy little shapes. Maybe we'll use displace. Oh, that doesn't look right either. Whatever. I think that's fine. Not too worried about what the underside of the neck actually looks like. It just needs to do something. We'll vary up these shapes a little bit. Try to break the silhouette a little. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, let's say, well, I'll just tell you about my career. Most of my portfolio art is from other concepts. I think one or two pieces are not. And so I think I endorse it. I think it's fine. But you always need to make sure to adhere to, you know, if you're in an institution they have particular rules about something, then you need to adhere to those things, you know. Yeah, I'm trying not to do too much research on decapitated heads, so I'm just trying to just do a little something here. Yeah, I think that's okay. Look, we got a head. Yeah, we started from a sphere, and we have a decapitated headpiece now. So I think what we'll do, let's save this first. Save it. Oh, you know what we need to do? We need to work on the eyes just for a little bit longer. What we'll do for these guys. There we go. Done. Maybe we'll go even further. We'll just pull out. No, we don't want to make it too grotesque. We could take it far, or we could be subtle. Let's be subtle. I like subtlety. I think what we could do is even pull it up even further like this. There we go. There we go. Then we'll change the eyelids a little bit to kind of compensate for the pupil coming up like that. Yeah. If this was more kind of like a bigger piece on him, I probably would take it even further. Maybe we'll actually sag this down quite a bit to give that really sagged look. Eyelids are tough, man. Eyelids are really, really tough. It's super, super subtle. Okay. Now let's get this into place. Let's say it one more time. Okay. So now I have this piece. I'm actually want to merge that down with the eyeballs so I can move it all together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this guy off, send him down to the bottom, turn that off. I'm going to grab this, duplicate, turn that off. And then this one, let's take a look at here. So that's fine. Let's do auto groups just one more time. We'll do this one. We'll do group visible because I want those to be one. And then we'll just go merge down. Yes, that's fine. Now it's one piece. I have the originals duplicated, so now what I can do is I can just grab this dude and move him. Yeah, those are, you mean the crunkles? Yeah, the crunkles are pretty tough. Let's get him in the right place. Yeah, the caruncles. C-R-U-N-C-L-E-S, I believe is how it's spelled. No, it's C-A-R-U-N-C-L-E-S. Caruncles. Should it be smaller? I'm thinking maybe a little bit. Yeah, they're called the crunkles. So let's not do that. Let's duplicate. And then let's grab another one of these guys. Move him down here. So I really want to use this to inform the silhouette, right? So I want to make sure that it enhances the silhouette, not gets lost in or detracts from the already nice silhouette that I have. Right? So when I'm placing these, I want to make sure that, you know, so if this is the most viewed, I want to be able to see this guy from multiple angles, right? So I want to see I also want to vary them up enough. Maybe this one sits a lot lower down here. Maybe this one sits lower too. Right, then we'll be able to see some cool ropes and stuff that come off here. Maybe this guy actually hangs down here. Maybe what I can do is keep him at an angle where you can't really tell that these are the same exact head, right? So when you look at this, the visual information, you kind of forget about all those little things as you move this way. You're like, oh, you know, this angle is different from this angle, and this angle is different from that angle. Right, just to be able to capitalize on the same mesh in a couple of different, like this. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to create just a couple of ropes, just to try to go down and visually connect these pieces. I'm not going to get into making them correct at the moment, but what I want to do is I want to at least have some of these connections so they're just not floating there. So I want to finish the idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to append, okay. I'm going to grab a sphere. What I'm going to do is I'm going to establish a plane that I can draw my curve mesh on, my curve brush on. So just grab this dude, bring him over there. Then what I'll do is I'll just creating the plane that I want to draw that curve brush on. It just it's super simple, quick and easy way of establishing a curve with a curve brush that I use a lot. That's good enough. Have I used any 2018 features in this thing yet? Yeah, I think I used some, in the beginning I used some of the Sculptris Pro stuff. Okay, so now I have that. Alright, so now I'm going to go to my rope. And then I'm just going to, I think it was at like 35. I'm just going to draw on here. Boom, there's my rope. It was not 35, it was much smaller. That's about right. Maybe I'll actually take and move this down. extend that up. Well, so now it's actually sitting on that plane, right? It's a really quick and dirty way of getting some pieces down quickly. And then what I can do is I can just change this real quick to be more something like that. And then I'll go back down to 25 or so, grab this again, and then do some more. It was not, it was probably something like that, some 25. Something like that. So, that's fine. Good enough for now. Let's split hidden just in case I want to use that again. Alright, and now really quickly I can get just some connecting pieces. I'll just start, you know, doing something like this. So at least I'm explaining what's happening. I don't have to make it all work right this second, but at least I'm informing what's happening, you know. All right. All right, boys and girls, ladies and gents, I think that's going to be about enough for me today. We got some good stuff done. Got some good stuff done, and it is time to move on. All right, that was fun. We got to do some severed heads today. Yeah. All right. That is going to be it. I will be back sometime. Actually, you know what? I think it's next week I'm back. Let me check real quick. I am back. I'm here. I'm back. Tuesday the 23rd. Tuesday. I think, yeah. Tuesday the 23rd. Same bat time. Same bat channel. So stick around. Go check the replay of this whole episode if you'd like to. The ZBrush will probably post it on their YouTube channel somewhat soon, maybe Monday. So yeah, have a good time, guys. I hope you guys had fun. I hope you learned a couple things, but most of all, I hope you were inspired to go make your own stuff. So cool stuff. You go and you make it. All right.